Greetings, my scattered sisters and brothers in the Lord. Trust you know that the Lord is with you wherever you are scattered today, and that the presence of the Lord in your life is more than enough for anything you might face today. We continue on in John chapter 15, and you'll recall that Jesus has been emphasizing that we are to remain in Him, that we are to remain in His love just as He remains in the Father's love, that we are to listen to Him, that we are to obey Him, and that we are to love, each other as He has loved us. He has made us His friends, chosen us to be His friends. Well, Jesus goes on to say, not to be surprised if the world hates us. He says, if the world hates you, remember that it hated me first. You are no longer of the world. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But you don't belong to the world anymore, that I have chosen you. And because you're no longer of the world, don't be surprised that the world hates you. Now that's kind of shocking at first, that here we are, a people called to practice love, and as we love one another, the result's going to be, at least in some cases, that we find ourselves hated by the world because we don't belong to the world anymore. We belong to Jesus. Now, I've been thinking about, okay, well, what does this actually look like? Well, sometimes I see this type of thing played out as an illustration in terms of a first generation college student, a college student who is the first from their family to go off to college. And sadly, what sometimes happens is that the family actually sabotages them so that they're unable to do well in school. It's kind of like they're called into this new world, and the family fears that, okay, they no longer belong to us. We don't want to lose them. And so the family actually works against the student, kind of undermining them, sabotaging them, making it very difficult for them to be successful at school. You could almost say that the family hates them because, in some sense, the family realizes that they're losing them to school, to the university. Now, maybe that's not the best example, but I think that type of thing happens in the Christian life. No doubt many of you could testify to it, that you hear the call of Jesus, you receive Jesus, you begin to abide in Jesus, to remain in Him, and you no longer belong to your old life. You no longer belong to your old friends. You no longer belong to kind of that old world, that old way of operating. And the outcome of it is that people that you thought were your friends, they're no longer so friendly towards you. They even hate you. They try to pull you down, drag you back in. And Jesus is saying, don't be surprised. If the world hated me, the world's going to hate you. That you were of the world, but I chose you and called you out of the world to belong to me. Now, how do we get through that? Well, Jesus gives us His Spirit, and His Spirit empowers us to abide in Him, to not get dragged back into the world that would try to hold us in captivity. Jesus gives us His Spirit, empowers us to listen to Him, to walk with Him, to abide with Him, to live in His love. So no matter how the world may be hating on you, no matter how the world may be trying to drag you back into itself, wherever you find yourself scattered, don't be surprised by the hatred. Remind yourself, the world hated Jesus. And Jesus will empower you to stay faithful to Him and to abide in His love and to keep loving no matter how the world might turn against you. God bless. Have a great day and keep abiding in Him.